Ekurhuleni Finance MMC Nkululeko Dunga has presented the Metro's budget for the 2023-24 financial year, warning that rising interest rates are hampering customers' ability to pay for services. Dunga says they've reached a compromise with the ANC after the party demanded that the municipality write off 20 billion rand in unpaid rates and taxes. Residents and businesses owe it about 30 billion rand.
We also hear him speaking about this and the consecutive rate increases affecting residents and their ability to then pay for services. And this was then reflected in that budget speech, saying that they will be trying to include more residents in the indigent program. These are residents who need financial assistance in order to make it through the month. We are seeing that indigent program that was not necessarily part of the former administration, which was almost done away with, being reinstated. But we're also hearing that they are also going to be increasing efforts to try and increase or enhance revenue collection from residents in the city. They are also alluding to the fact that they will be going after businesses that have not been able to pay or with an outstanding bill, and they've given them an ultimatum of 7 days to come out and make somewhat of an arrangement to ensure that that is paid off to the city of Ekurhuleni, or face the consequences of being switched off. I'm joined by the MMC right now, Nkululeko Dunga, who's just going to talk to us about, this budget speech that he's just delivered. Thank you so much for speaking to us. You talk about how you're trying to, meet the people's needs while at the same time enhancing revenue collection, which is really important for the sustainability of this municipality.
Yes, no, thank you for giving us the opportunity. So we have just tabled a 55 billion rand budget. It's on the basis of projections of revenue collection that we're anticipating, but also the gazetted grant allocation by province and national. Consolidated inclusive of entities who are standing at 57 billion in terms of our proposed budget. We're trying to just strike a balance in understanding that this is a recovery budget, and the components of a recovery budget would have been to go to the extreme of austerity measures, which are in direct conflict to our basic principles as economic freedom fighters, but also as a people's government. As hence, we needed to prioritize and reprioritize certain projects and departments to genuinely going back to the real basics in terms of the offering of basic services, and also aggressively going on a revenue enhancement exercise as the city of Ekurhuleni, because our debts book is currently sitting at about 30 billion, and that's 30 billion that could have been going towards the servicing of infrastructure, the building of new infrastructure, as well as directing services towards the extremely marginalized millions and millions of South Africans that stay in the city of Ekurhuleni.
Certainly, you speak of that 30 billion rand debt, or that funds that are owed to the municipality. And yet, it seems as though there are allegations that the ANC and the EFF might not be able to meet each other, as though there's been a request by the ANC to write off 75% of that historic debt. Are you confident that this budget vote will indeed be passed come the end of the day? And are you seeing eye to eye with your coalition partners?
Yeah, we've extensively engaged with all political organizations in terms of the formulation of the budget and the allocation of resources in terms of priorities in the relevant departments. And we're at a point where we are in as much as we are aware that there are, conflicting ideologies towards what the composition of the budget should be, that it would be adopted by the end of the day, and would actually be able to carry out service delivery, because in the absence of the acceptance of this budget is that there's a standstill of every single aspect of service delivery in the city, and the people's government and the composition thereof would not want to see ourselves in that particular position.
Okay. Now, the one other thing that will really need to happen today is that we're going to see the debate continuing after the break and so on. What are you expecting from the opposition benches who are going to most likely criticize this budget?
Yeah, to also answer your previous question, we are looking at the asking of the 75% write-off. The current debt rehabilitation proposal by ourselves is a 50% write-off. And I think that's sort of like covering, and striking a balance in terms of ultimately looking at 75 to 100%, particularly on indigent households, people who cannot show a way of actually paying off those debts. We do agree to a certain extent that we must look at a modality that will speak to the debt rehabilitation exercise thereof. But I mean, the DA being the DA would obviously speak against the budget and find ways to. Already, I mean, they were saying that we have given them a internationalist outlook, a nationalist outlook, which was not what they were looking for. But they are not mindful that we do not act in silos as the city of Ekurhuleni. We're informed by many other aspects of society, many other spheres of government, and external influences and forces that dictate our own policy direction. By the way, the budget of the city has to go through a national treasury process in itself that tells you that we are bound as well by national treasury guidelines. And this is something that we need to articulate and make people explain. Majority of the councillors who are in council here today, they do not even know the demographics of the city of Ekurhuleni. We had to take them through that. And some who are not taking a good liking into education would not pretty much like that and would actually speak against it.
Thank you so much for speaking to us. There you have it, MMC for Finance in the city of Ekurhuleni, Nkululeko Dunga, just alluding to the fact that they do intend on continuing and going ahead with having or establishing a university in the city of Ekurhuleni.